did its thing.
Okay,
and then I came back and it's...
We are live!
Are we
are live!
Are we live now? 17 question marks. I hope we're live.
What a blessing it is that we weren't live just then.
Yeah,
we kind of mucked up the opening in various ways.
We did spend, I want to say, somewhere in the region of 50,000 hours of our lives talking about things that don't, strictly speaking, need to be discussed on a live stream, such as the technical intricacies of the Xbox One Bluetooth controller, and also just face touching, which I'm going to say again,
a lot of that.
Not necessary. Don't need to talk about it. Don't need to do it. We're tough on face touching. We're tough on the causes of face touching, and we have this is a zero tolerance face touching stream, and we won't let it happen at any point during the next couple of hours. How do you feel about that, Dave?
That is a tremendous crock of lies. I am going to be touching my whole face. But I have just washed my hands, so it doesn't matter. Wash your hands, everybody.
I do have to ask, did you wash your lower lip, though? Because that could backfire.
Oh, no! Now it's gone on my hands, and from my hands, I might transfer it to my lips.
Yes. Well, I guess let's introduce each other and ourselves.
Yeah.
Actually, no, let's introduce each other. You're Dave Bowmer.
That's right, and you're Ben Paddon.
Yes, and this is Serial Ports, in which we play games based on the cartoons, the Saturday morning cartoons of our youth, or maybe not our youth, because we have some stuff on the list that is not even. I was too old to even have acknowledged.
I'm gonna go a step further to deconstruct your definition there, because it's not always going to be cartoons either, but it is going to be kids' TV and the tie-in games. Usually the contemporary tie-in games that came out while those things were still on. So you get the sense of what that thing felt like at the time.
Yes, and this week we have a couple of games. We have a game that everyone will know, or at least the source material pretty much everyone will know if you grew up in the 90s, and that's Tiny Toon Adventures: Buster Bust Loose, in which Buster from Tiny Toon Adventures, his colon escapes and you have to chase after it.
Yeah.
That's more or less what happens, right? I mean, I'm not going to lie.
That's what happened. The one thing that we're really missing from the false start that we had when I did definitely press the go live button, but it just apparently didn't work, is that Ben was introducing the game, and it just brought up its own logo in perfect sync with what he was saying.
That was pretty great. You know what? There are times when I wish I was also simultaneously recording these streams just in case.
Yeah.
And that did not happen. That frog just... I hate it when video games do that, when you kill a thing and then you walk off the screen at the point where it was, and then you walk back onto the screen.
There he is.
Yeah.
There he flipping is. Yeah.
So we're doing this for the first slightly less than an hour, because this is going to be we're going to try to wrap up by what I guess would be 11 o'clock here in LA, and is 8 o'clock for you.
Well, what time is it there for you now?
Well, it's 9:12.
Yeah. So it'll be 7 o'clock for me. The reason being is that at 8 o'clock I've got a hangout for my top tier Patreon people.
Oh.
It's a monthly thing that we enjoy. So I do have to cram in some dinner before that.
Kind of like how I had a microwave cheeseburger for breakfast this morning.
He did! He had a microwave cheeseburger for breakfast.
Yes.
It doesn't sound like it's a good idea, but let me tell you that it
wasn't.
No, it's not a good idea, but it's an enjoyable first couple of moments.
Yeah, there's a point... I don't know, this is weird. I feel like it's respawning some of those little trophies. Like this one. Boom. Oh, that's a full dash trophy. Okay, that's why that's respawning.
Right.
Well, now we know, and knowing is half the battle. Who are my Spider-Man? Tell all your friends about me.
I don't know what a Super Dash trophy does in there. I don't know anything. Hi. So, I've never played this game. Have you played this game before?
I haven't played this game in about 20 years. I lived with someone who was, when we bought a Super Nintendo of our own, it felt to her like, well, now I have to own a Tiny Toons game because of how the universe is constructed out of its base elements. So we got the Super Nintendo, we got Buster Bust Loose, we got the game about his escaped internal organs, and it's this game, and we played a tremendous amount of it.
Right.
But it has been, at this point, it has been very nearly 20 years. I would say it's been about 15 to 16 years, if we're being completely honest. And this as everyone knows...
We are being completely honest.
This is a show entirely about fact, and I don't want to mislead any of our...
Well, there's one lie that we're going to tell every episode,
Yes.
and you have to keep your ears peeled to figure out what it is.
We call them, what we like to call a faux fact. Which is like well, it's certainly a thing I like to call them, and there's no call for it. I don't know why I call them that.
Lies.
Lies is probably I would say the more politically correct term.
This is the thing, you can't dress up your lies in political language. We'll still all spot them.
I'm not 100% confident that that's true. And I don't, but I couldn't tell you why. This is going very, very well. Sorry, you were about to talk about the chat.
I was about to talk about the chat because Ashley says, I have an amazing faux fact that I remember hearing, and I am on tenterhooks to find out what it is. But also, I suppose I've announced that without knowing what it is, so it might be something I can't read out. What an exciting time that'll be if that's the case.
I'm gonna go one further than you, Dave. I'm not just on tenterhooks. I'm on 11 hooks.
Oh, Tiny Toons. Tiny Toon Adventures was a show that was at its height, or at least, well, here in the UK, we tended to get things a little bit later, of course, that were American. So I don't know what its original height was, but its proper height in the UK was when I would have been around about, gosh, I don't even know, but I would have just been entering the juniors at primary school, so... We're talking child here, so these are very much part of my cultural DNA, I think.
For me, and I know that Tiny Toon Adventures predates Animaniacs by a little while. In my head, it predates it by quite a lot, but I'm pretty confident that's not how it works out.
Yeah, in my head it was two complete different eras, but I'm sure it was just 3 years or something.
Yeah, maybe production, maybe maybe they're like, well, you make Tiny Toon Adventures, and if you're very good, and you finish all your vegetables, Stephen, we'll let you do something else.
Possibly.
But for me as a kid, I remember thinking Tiny Toon Adventures is just the poor man's Animaniacs. That was how I felt about it as a kid. As an adult, I couldn't tell you because I haven't watched. I have no memory of any Tiny Toon Adventures. The Tiny Toons and their adventures are not ingrained in my memory.
I have very little memory of specific adventures of the Tiny Toons, but I remember them and what they felt like to watch very clearly. And it felt at the time, not having now, you understand, this was in the pre-Animaniacs era. It felt very sort of fresh and up to date, and it had that attitude we were looking for. You know, it stood out from the crowd in being quite a challenging cartoon, not in the sense of it being intellectually rigorous, but in the sense of it just being something new.
Yeah.
Something that really genuinely felt like it was of the time we were in, and therefore the sort of thing we wanted to watch.
Yeah, it definitely feels like the kind of thing that I think I have some memory of watching quite a lot of it. But I couldn't tell you. I guess I have to kill my friend now.
Oh dear.
As is the custom among my people. But I couldn't tell you anything about it other than, they're like kid versions of existing Looney Tunes characters.
And I was old enough that it came, its proper context was already established.
Yeah.
I knew the actual Looney Tunes characters very well already by the time Tiny Toons came on. But not so the Muppet Babies, by the way. I was one of the first times I saw the Muppets would have been the Muppet Babies.
Yeah, I feel like my earliest exposure to the Muppets was probably the Muppet Babies. Well, at least now I know what these doors do. I've been waiting for him to come down here every time.
Is there a Muppet Babies game? That would be good for this.
I don't think there is. They did just reboot the Muppet Babies for Disney Junior, though, so maybe
there'll be one now.
Yeah, it won't be for us.
It won't be, no. Yeah, I haven't seen the new Muppet Babies, but I get the sense it's a little bit more Mickey's Clubhouse style rather than the adventures we were used to.
Good news, everyone. I died. I did not make it through the first boss.
Brilliant.
I didn't make it even through the first level. The game has summarily punished me for not being good enough, so we get to do this level again. And I will, in fairness to the good people at what Amiga Power Magazine used to frequently call Kujiyamanami, because they used to just insert a J after the K for reasons I've never fully understood.
I don't know. Kiyonami?
Kiyonami. Hideo Kiyonami. No, that's not anything, Ben. But in fairness to the people who worked on this game, the fact that I can't finish the first level, or haven't finished the first level in my what is now 15 to 20 years of Buster Bust Loose experience. Of
busting loose.
I've been busting loose now for very nearly 2 full decades. I genuinely, if I don't finish this level, that's not a poor reflection on the people at Konami who poured their blood and their sweat and probably some tears also into making a game that they thought people would almost certainly buy.
This is the first time I've really confronted the word poured in that little phrase. Poured their blood into a game.
Yeah,
and their sweat. And their tears.
Yeah, this game is soaked in the blood of the innocents, David.
Why is it that blood? Right, not everyone is like, not everyone is squeamish about blood, but it's one of the gross things that comes out of bodies, right? We're not all comfortable with blood, and then sweat, definitely one of the gross things that come out of bodies. Why are we more accepting of tears?
Well,
why isn't that thought of as gross?
Yeah, well, if someone's crying, we will wipe a tear away from their sad little faces. If someone is bleeding, we're not going to go, oh, and just wipe.
Not with your thumb.
No, you wouldn't, especially not in the world in which we live now.
Well, no.
Hello. Oh, look at me. Oh, no, you can't. All I did was I ran up a wall in the hopes of finding something golden, and I did.
Good. Well, that's good. That worked out well. I've just realised I've been looking at the wrong window all this time, so I've now put the live direct Skype feed, so I'm actually seeing what you're doing at a time that's similar to when you're doing it. So that's going to be good. Let's see what's going on. This
bit's great because Dizzy's in this game. Apparently, I have to go and destroy an egg. Egg in boxing gloves.
I'm sad to say that it is the incorrect Dizzy. And frankly, I don't think... Like, if there was a character in Tiny Toons who was called, Mario something, they shouldn't just refer to him as Mario in a game, especially not a console game. And I object to the use of the name Dizzy in this.
Yeah.
I really do. Yeah, quite right. Ashley's right. It's because of empathy. We are not grossed out by tears because they signal someone that we should be paying more attention to and being nice to. That's quite right. Whereas blood involves a wound, and we are programmed to be unhappy about those. So, let's have a little look. Tasmania, says Maya, must have got a game right. Yeah, not only did Tasmania get a game, it is one of my STCTP co-host Chris McFeely's favourite games, at least from that era. And he shares that in common with one of the guests that we've had in the past week of recording. We've recorded 2 Sonic podcasts in the past week. You'll see them, hear them, fairly soon.
You could see them if you were looking at the album artwork at the same time.
Exactly. You absolutely could.
Yeah, don't try to police people's podcasting listening activities.
No, I suppose that would be... part of me thinks it would be incredibly tedious to listen to an entire episode of a podcast while staring at the album art. But I bet there are people who used to listen to albums while staring at the album. In fact, I'll tell you what, I myself, in the 90s, have listened to at least one comedy LP while looking at the cover of that LP, which was just a picture of the comedian's face.
You could do that. You could simulate that experience now by just Googling the name of that particular comedian. Well, Dizzy's disappeared. Dizzy has vanished.
That's good, I suppose, right?
Oh, there he is.
Down there.
He just went somewhere else.
Well, he must have gone off to Fantasy World briefly.
Yes. He's just popped out for a quick snacks.
Yeah, well, as we can see them here. He's gone to the quick snacks mazes. And
there are 2 separate food-themed Dizzy games that are top-down. That always, as a kid, that always annoyed me for very, very superficial reasons.
Not me. I simply saw Quick Snacks as being a spiritual sequel to fast food.
It didn't even occur to me that one followed the other.
No.
Well, in part because I first played those games. I had a 5-game compilation of Dizzy games for the Amiga, which included fast food and Quick Snacks.
Oh, yeah, you see, now I'll tell you why that happened. Because the Dizzy collection was supposed to be... This is the red box Dizzy collection that had Magic Land in it, yeah? Yeah, well, that came out on the Spectrum and other systems of that ilk. And it had Dizzy 1 and Treasure Island and Fantasy World and Magic Land, and then, to add a 5th game, Fast Food. Well, the thing is, Dizzy 1 never got ported to the 16-bit system, so when they brought out the Dizzy collection for those, they had to think of something to do, so I guess they put Quick Snacks in. But Quick Snacks was native to Dizzy's Excellent Adventures, the second Dizzy game pack, not Excellent Adventures, as you might think.
That would be a better name for it.
Wouldn't it? But no, Excellent Adventures. I'm going to mute the microphone now to cough.
He's coughing.
There, I did.
Variations thereupon.
A single cough, though, not persistent. Single
cough, though, not persistent. Single cough. Sorry.
Hasn't got the virus, officer. So the the second Dizzy collection, the Excellent Adventures, that was supposed to have. Let me see now. Dizzy Down the Rapids. Quick Snacks. We'll cover the puzzle games first. Was Panic Dizzy supposed to be in there? Can't remember. But then you had your Prince of the Yoke Folk. That was supposed to be exclusive to that pack, but they went back on that promise soon afterwards, and I was cross with them. Spellbound Dizzy, and that's only 2 mainline Dizzy games. So yes, there must have been Dizzy Panic thrown in there as well. So that's where Quick Snacks is supposed to be. I don't know what they did about that missing game for future. For the 16-bit version, there must have been another game they threw in there that I'm not thinking of at the moment.
I know that the CD32 compilation was called Dizzy, the Big Six, and it had a
CD32 Dizzy. I don't think I was aware of this.
It's just the Amiga version slapped on a disc, as was the tradition at the time. That's pretty much what most CD32 ports are. Panic at the Dizzy, says Renee on the chat, which is frankly the funniest thing any person's ever said on this or any other stream.
Oh my god, because they've managed to get the exclamation mark in there and everything.
Yeah, they've done the whole thing.
That is a reference, I believe, to the Game Gear version of Dizzy Panic called Panic Dizzy. That did have the exclamation mark there.
It could also be a reference to the rock sensation Panic at the Disco.
Well, yes.
Yes.
I was taking that as read.
Yeah, that goes. Well, that goes without saying, surely. I don't know who that person is. I was just being, nor why they needed to necessarily be where they were from. But there we are.
No,
I'm not awake. I don't know why I agreed to do streams at like 9 o'clock in the morning, because it means I have to get up at 8. I'm not built for 8.
No, sorry about that and everything. Yes, there's not. It was because we had to cram it in so that I could be here as well. I wonder if something could be done about that in future.
No, I think it's honestly. I think. Oh, did I die or did? Oh no, I did die. I don't think I'm doing what I need to do to destroy.
No,
my
One Shot wonders if you need to eliminate all the food.
Well,
or whether Dizzy needs to eliminate all the food.
See, I had thought about that, and you know what? I hadn't thought about that.
Right. You were just trying to show off by saying you had.
Well, the food goes into... Here's the thing. So there's this door here.
Yeah.
And the food comes in this door, but does not emerge down here. So my gut, which does a tremendous amount of overthinking, suspects that the food might be just randomly generated.
Right. Leo, when you're asking us if we remember Fantasy World Dizzy, I'm gonna go a little bit granular here. The Fantasy World Dizzy that you remember, on what system was that Fantasy World Dizzy to be found? Was that a 16-bit Dizzy, an 8-bit Dizzy? You tell me what computer you were playing Fantasy World Dizzy on, and I will respond by seeing if I know the music from it.
I definitely just played the Amiga version. The Amiga version of Treasure Island Dizzy looks fine, but the music was wretched.
What? Get out!
No,
what
here's the thing.
About?
I love the sound of it, but having listened to like the Spectrum and Commodore 64 versions, the Amiga music was just made poor use of the sound font library on the Amiga. It just wasn't very good.
That's true. It did sound very sort of, I suppose, yeah, a bit. I don't know whether I mean Atari-ish or it sounded a little bit simpler, didn't it? But it was a banger of a tune.
There were a lot of great tunes in the Dizzy games. Yeah. You know what it was? I think they chose an instrument that they thought would accurately simulate the sound of the Commodore 64 version specifically. But what they did instead was give me 8 migraines.
It was very loud. You did have to turn it down.
Oh, I've got to feed him the food from bumping it from underneath. Or I could just die. Well, thank you. Thank you everyone who did a wiki check. Thank you everyone who's better at video games than me, which is...
He does a wiki check. He does a vodka check.
Does a lager check.
It's... Really, in retrospect, that was very obvious, wasn't it? Because the one thing that you had that you could do was affect the food by bumping it upwards.
Yeah, that does feel like a thing that I would say someone could have figured out quite easily. Especially if they were, I don't know, an employee of Konami, or were also Googling while playing the game. One does wonder if that was immediately apparent to anyone who didn't have access. I mean, that's not bad. That's not a bad thing to have. I keep getting attacked by the frog from those old WB interstitials.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know about those old WB interstitials.
Oh, it was a thing that happened on. There's a dude down there. I should probably just go and get it.
I can tell you.
The WB.
I know about the.
The WB's mascot was a singing and dancing frog.
What, the one from Hello, My Baby?
That's exactly the one, yeah.
Ah. And there he is, yeah. So, Fantasy World Dizzy on the Spectrum. Fantasy World Dizzy! I
don't think I played that one.
No?
No, I think... The one that I played Magic Land, I played Crystal Kingdom, I played Treasure Island. There was definitely at least one other that I played, and I don't remember what it was.
Oh.
All of the music in the Dizzy games is absolutely, if you'll pardon the egg pun, absolutely cracking.
Hey, yeah, well, they had some of the best in the business. Not really in those early days, but they had. Later, you had a lot of Alistair Brimble tunes and stuff. They got
good old Brimble
guys in.
I'll tell you a fun fact about Brimble. He was Ben, you absolute clod.
Leo, you had the okay, it's loaded version. I didn't have that. Mine just went Fantasy World Dizzy. Or if I then that was on my original Spectrum 128 machine. When I then played it on the whatever it was I had next, the +2 or whatever it was, it changed from going Fantasy World Dizzy to Fantasy World Dizzy. Like the sound quality improved. Anyway, carry on, Ben.
I forgot what I was talking about. It's gone. It's gone. There's nothing I can do about it. And I just have to crack on.
Can anybody in the chat remember what Ben was about to say before I interrupted by shouting Fantasy World Dizzy in different voices?
So, I'll be honest with you, that's how most of the my conversational trains of thought get interrupted, is someone saying Fantasy World Dizzy. And
that must be so frustrating. I'm sorry to be the latest to add to
don't know how so many people know that that's the thing to say to help me have me lose track of a conversation.
To shut you down completely.
Yeah.
Well, words got round, Ben.
Yeah, it's definitely the thing. Here we go. I'm gonna jump up here, and then there's a hidden golden carrot. I'm gonna let my dash recharge, and I'm gonna jump up here. And what's up here? Nothing. That was worth exploring. All right. In many ways.
Maya says, who else saw Spaceballs before they knew who Michigan J. Frog was? Actually, odds are good you also saw it before Alien, probably. I think I knew about Michigan J. Frog, but I definitely didn't get the Aliens reference.
Can I interest you in a controversial movie opinion?
No. Yes.
Okay. No, I don't like Spaceballs. Don't like it.
No, I agree. Now, don't get me wrong. The first time I saw it, borrowed off a friend who taped it off the telly, I was blown away. I'd never seen anything as revolutionary as the bit where the camera like dramatically pans in and then clonks off his head. That was amazing to me. But then, when I tried to watch it again, I actually bought it on video. That was the next opportunity I had to watch it. And it was a bit trying. I found. Hello.
I did it. I'm feeding the Eggman.
Yes.
Sorry, different Eggman.
Yes.
I feel like I was about to talk about something and it's gone now. I remember the first time I saw it all the way through.
Yeah.
I'd already seen a lot of Mel Brooks movies, and the Mel Brooks, who I firmly believe is one of the funniest filmmakers alive. Like things like I love Blazing Saddles. I've come to love History of the World Part 1. Young Frankenstein is still one of my favorite comedies of all time. But he is a bit of a one-trick pony in some places. Like, there's definitely some different sort of specific types of joke that he leans on very heavily. But I do think that Spaceballs is very quotable. And I also think that the one part of the movie that still makes me laugh is Tuvok from Star Trek Voyager, who had not been in Voyager at this time, combing the desert, and his reaction to asking if they found anything. Yeah, that's Tuvok. That's good old Tim Russ.
I remember combing the desert. What was the reaction to him asking if he'd found anything?
You know, I don't know whether we've decided we're allowed to swear on this particular stream or not. That's not a conversation we've ever had. No, his reaction being, "We ain't found shit." And that gets me because of just how loud and angry Tim Russ is in that particular moment. Which I wonder if my enjoyment of that particular bit is it's unexpected, or it's unexpected for me to see Tuvok from TV Star Trek Voyager yell an expletive in the manner in which he has done.
Yeah. Well, because in Star Trek Voyager, they weren't usually called upon to show any kind of emotion at all. The fact that he was
even the humans.
The fact that he was supposed to stand out from the rest of the cast by never showing emotion through his acting didn't come across.
No disrespect to Tim Russ, because I think he played one of my favourite on-screen Vulcans. The problem is, so did everyone else on that show.
We tried to watch. I'm being extra salty about that because me and Abby are currently in what was a 90s Trek chronological watch through. As in, we were at one point alternating episodes of TNG with episodes of DS9 according to the air date list. And now, if you're going to watch TNG and DS9, which I recommend, that's a way I recommend you do it, because there are. I think a lot of people tend to watch TNG through and then watch DS9, but there are plot lines that kind of carry on through.
Yeah, stuff with the Cardassians and the Marquis definitely kind of bleed in from DS9 to TNG.
Yeah, there's one bit, for example, where a particular treaty is set up with the Cardassians involved, and that then bleeds into the other show, and it's like, oh, well, now that this treaty's been set up in the other show. But anyway, we now reached the point in that chronological watch through where it was time to watch Voyager. And my memory of Voyager was that it was so boring, and I haven't watched these since the 90s, right? And Abby hadn't watched them at all, including in the 90s. It's all new to her. And so my memory of Voyager was that it was so boring that retrospectively it's responsible for me thinking that DS9's boring as well. I'm surprised to it surprised me when everyone said that DS9. Oh, look at that scaling there. That DS9
perspective, pretty great.
That DS9 was the best Star Trek. Everyone says, don't they? The fans, they're all like, that's the best one. And I was surprised because I remember it being quite sort of tedious. But I'm watching it, it's like, it's absolutely brilliant. And then I remembered when we started trying to watch Voyager and didn't even get through both parts of the pilot episode, that it's like, no, this is what I was thinking of. And Voyager was so boring to me that it made DS9 outstay its welcome as well by being associated at all. So now what was a chronological Trek watch through is now a DS9 watch through.
Smart. I've never. Voyager is such a brilliant. I like the idea of this the Starfleet crew and this crew of these terrorists, this Maquis shit. having to kind of, work together. That's such an interesting, rich idea, and it's something that Star Trek hadn't done anything like that before. And then what we ended up with instead was Next Gen Light in many respects. And that's a shame, because there's genuinely a lot to like about Voyager, especially when you consider that it is basically Star Trek Red Dwarf. Like, that's what that show is. You've got every character on that show, every character on Red Dwarf has an analog in the other one in Voyager. Case in point, you've got your human who's kind of larking about. Well, that's Tom Paris, obviously. You've got your grumpy hologram. I don't even need to say what the connection is there. You've got your impeccably well-tailored, sharp-toothed friend, and that's Neelix, obviously. That goes without saying. Probably. And you've got your partially artificial life form who's learning to be more human, and that's 7 of 9.
Yeah, now I've never seen 7 of 9 because I don't understand how anyone did. Of course, I never got that far in Voyager. That's like, didn't she show up in like season 5 or 6 or something?
I think she's end of season 3, start of season 4. I think Kess leaves, I think, like an episode after she arrives.
Right. So that's how quickly I noped out of the whole thing. Although it felt like an eternity at the time. But yeah, no, that. I don't remember ever actually doing it, though. I don't remember stopping watching Voyager, so maybe it just... I wonder when they aired it. Maybe this coincided with when I went off to university or something. But Voyager
aired... I can't say when it aired in the UK, because I know with TNG, we got... For much of TNG, we were like 2 to 3 years behind. I know that DS9, by the time DS9 ended, because I watched the season finale here in the US, because I was visiting my dad at the time. So I know that DS9 wrapped up in the US in, I want to say, May or June of 1999, and it wrapped up in the UK a few months after I got back. Who is this Wile E. Coyote-looking idiot in cowboy boots? Who is not Wile E. Coyote? I'll be honest with you, I do not think it is. Oh no! The jump rope section.
Good fun in WarioWare.
Yeah, I was just thinking, this is not dissimilar from the physics in whichever Wario game it was.
Must have been the DS one? No.
It's one.
No, I don't know which one it was.
Was it? It was the Super Nintendo. No, you know what game I'm thinking of? I'm not thinking of Wario. I'm thinking of Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga.
Oh, well, that was Game Boy. Advance.
Don't you dare. There we go.
I don't remember doing any skipping in that game, I admit.
It's because you're weak. No, there was that jump rope bit in when you're having to cross the border from the Mushroom Kingdom into the Bean Kingdom, and the Hammer Brothers make you do that jump rope thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You are being asked by Worms T17, short for Worms Team 17, presumably. So the entire original team who made Worms is asking you personally, Ben, are you looking forward to Red Dwarf: The Promised Land?
I am very much. It won't be airing here in the US. That won't stop me from watching it.
It won't, no.
No, a few things do. But the Blu-ray is supposed to be coming out later this month, assuming that it's not infinitely delayed by things like the world imploding.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it. In fact, I'm so looking forward to it that we've started watching through the Series 12, which it turned out we never watched. So that's happening right now. I'm currently watching Red Dwarfs to get ready for Promised Land.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, I've been slowly working my way through it with my girlfriend over the last year, and we are midway through season 7.
Worms T17 says, no, it's me, Nikki. Ben, no.
Yeah.
Ben, no.
Ben, no. Ben, indeed, no. Ben, no, quite well. But yeah, I've been watching through it with my girlfriend. We are we're at the point now where Rimmer has gone and Kachansky is there, and I can tell that Mandy is bored because she has said to me, "I am bored." I think that was the big tell. And
was she bored before that?
I don't think so. I think she was quite enjoying it because, like, this is 7 seasons in, so I have to believe that, you know, we're at a...
The thing is, it never really fully recovers, does it? Not fully.
Well, here's the thing. I when a show's been on the air that long, and Red Dwarf has been on and off for like 30 years at this point, it's difficult to maintain that consistency. If you watch the first episode of Last of the Summer Wine and then immediately followed it with the last episode of Last of the Summer Wine, would they be recognizable as the same show?
I don't know. I've never tried it.
Well, that's how I recommend... with any long-running show, there's only one way to watch it, and that's you watch the first episode, then you watch the last episode, and then you watch the second episode, and then you watch the penultimate episode. And you work your way through from end to end. You burn the candles at both ends, as it were, and then you watch the show in middle. And then you're done. The middle's a finale.
Fake Jewel says, good luck with Series 8.
Yeah, Series 8 is... I've seen every episode of Red Dwarf, I want to say, too many times. 8 is worse than 7, but at least it has the studio audience to try to convince us that we're having a good time.
Yeah, that was they made the right decision to bring that back, because that... Personally, that kind of ruined Series 7 for me, the lack of the audience, even though there was plenty of good stuff in... So, at least now, looking back... There was plenty of good in Series 7.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely... Oh, no.
Oh, silly. You got boinged off.
I got caught in the 1994 Sandra Bullock thriller, The Net.
Yeah. Silly.
Don't let Sandra Bullock stop you from riding a train.
Never. No. That's very important.
This PSA is brought to you by British Rail. I feel like there was something else. I'm also one of the handful of people on the planet who genuinely like Back to Earth.
I don't remember if I like that, because that was one of those things where, you know, when you watch something under unusual circumstances, and it kind of reduces your ability to know what you thought of it. Like if normally you watch something on your own at home, and suddenly you watch something with a judgmental friend, or if you normally watch something with, so in my case, Abby at home, and suddenly you watch something round your parents' house.
Yeah.
That just it re-knits your idea of what you expect off TV. Well, in the case of Back to Earth, I watched that in a sort of a holiday trailer. I don't know what you would call it, like a mobile home, but that never moves.
Any mobile home, if you will. A home, basically.
Yeah. But it was on a... I mean, not... The term trailer park is a loaded word. That wasn't what it was. It was like a holiday place you go and you have one of these nice little mobile homes for a while. And you stay there for a week or whatever. We were there on some sort of I believe it was like a cycling holiday of my dad's or something like that. And yeah, we watched it on the TV there. And it was just, that environment made it impossible to really concentrate on it or know what was happening or anything like that.
Yeah.
Also, wasn't it all Blade Runner jokes?
You reach a point about, I want to say, halfway through where it very rapidly descends into, you know, Blade Runner are basically doing that.
Well, I'd only seen Blade Runner once at that point, and it was many, many years previously on VHS, so I didn't get any of that. So I'd have to watch it again now, I think, and reevaluate.
I enjoyed Back to Earth. I definitely had a very similar issue because I was watching it downloaded from the internet, but in the UK because I was visiting the UK with my at the time girlfriend. There's a lot about Back to Earth that I really like. I like that there's a lot of things that Back to Earth gets right that Series 7, that was also trying to go for the kind of single camera, not studio audience free, but kind of single camera drama comedy approach, got wrong. So Back to Earth for me is I have a lot of fondness for Back to Earth, and Back to Earth for me is kind of a symbol of. That's how I think you could do a drama comedy single camera version of Red Dwarf that works. Like if as an example, I was given my druthers, if I had my druthers and I could, I still don't know what a druther is. I'm saying it out loud. It's a very strange word. If I had the power to be able to say to Netflix, I want to do a reboot of Red Dwarf, and here's how I do it, and they said yes, I would do. God damn these electric sex pants. I would...
electric what?
Sex pants. Sorry, I was actually quoting the IT crowd.
Don't do that.
I'm going to try to avoid doing that in future, because every time I quote the IT crowd, Graham Linehan gets 17 cents, and I obviously don't want that to happen.
Can't allow that sort of thing.
No. But Red Dwarf as a single camera arse. Sorry. Healthy. I'm healthy. I'm fine. Red Dwarf as a single camera drama comedy. That's how I would do a reboot. I would shoot it like Battlestar Galactica, but make it a comedy. Like that's the approach I would take. But I'd shoot it like the 2004 Battlestar Galactica, because anything other than that would be bonkers. So trying to shoot it like 79 Galactica, I think, would be a great way to waste a tremendous amount of money from a big studio. But that's how I think the single camera drama comedy approach works. I just think that the 2 times Red Dwarf has tried to do that, which is Red Dwarf 7 and Back to Earth, have had their strengths and weaknesses, and I think more weaknesses than strengths. But I think the strengths show that it can work if you can avoid the pitfalls of the weaknesses. But I also feel like how I would reboot Red Dwarf, I would have the first season be life on the ship, and I would have the first season end with the accident. That's how I would do it. Because I feel like there are a couple of reasons to do that. Firstly, a returning audience knows the accident is coming. So why not spend some time with the character, with Rimmer and Lister before the accident? Why not spend some time kind of creating likable characters who, I quite like these, and then so when they're gone, you feel the impact of their absence. Is one.
Maybe. Although the argument against that is that you could say that the original first episode, the end, was sort of, kind of extraneous in itself, because the situation of that sitcom is that these 2 guys stuck together.
Yeah.
And so in that regard, that first half hour is more than enough. But it could certainly be done that way. I think that your approach there would be right for if they did a reboot movie.
Yeah.
As we know, because the book serves as a great template for such a thing. The
book, particularly the first and second book, are 2 of my favourite sci-fi comedy novels ever. Like, I lent them to a friend, 10 years ago. Every time this stupid net, there's no sign that the net's going to come. You have to just kind of know. It's very Dan Dangerous. I don't like it. What was I? Yeah, I lent it to a friend, and when he finally read it and he gave it back to me, and he said, "Yeah, this was great. It was like it had been written by Douglas Adams' kid brother." And I thought, that's not. If you're an American and your only real understanding of like British sci-fi comedy is Hitchhiker's Guide, that's not an unkind comparison to make.
No,
that's quite nice.
Yes, and they will have had it in mind certainly as they were writing it. Surely. The funny relationship with the Red Dwarf novels. I read the first one, which we latterly call Infinity Welcomes Careful Drivers, but that really was just the cover art. It was called Red Dwarf. That book I read before I had seen the first series of Red Dwarf, but after I had seen the 6th and 2nd and 3rd and bits from between those. So I knew Red Dwarf, but it really was how I experienced the origin story, and it was just so great.
Oh, it's fantastic.
It was so wonderful. It was the summer of what must have been 1993, and I was, or possibly 4, and it was 4, because it was my first year at secondary school, and the last week of the year, or the second to last week or something, was activities week, where earlier in the year we had picked the activities we wanted to be put down for, and basically each teacher just ran a little thing for a week, and so the one that I was on was I don't know, just trips, just going out for trips. And so out we went for these trips, and we went to various museums and places like that each day. And it was sweltering hot, and there was a bus we were on all day, and it was just the Red Dwarf novel was what I brought to do on the bus. And it was just so great. I was obsessed with reading this thing. I would take every opportunity I could. When we were at the museum, I'd be sneaking a little read of it, things like this. Absolutely brilliant. And so then, I then wanted to read the second book, and my dad had both books, and I said, "Oh, Dad, can I read Better Than Life? Can I just borrow your copy of Better Than Life?" And he was like, "Well, Dave, I don't know. What do you mean? Because it had been a lot of years since he read it, and I was only 11 years old. So to him, I was still younger than I thought I was at the time, if you see what I mean. So I didn't realise I needed to be protected from grown-up things at this stage, and Dad wasn't sure to what extent that book was going to be incredibly rude. Oh dear, that would look very difficult.
This is I'm on my last continue now. Which is probably for the best, because we are very shortly going to be switching over to an entirely different game.
Yes. So so here's what I did. I wondered about sneakily reading Dad's copy of Better Than Life, but instead of that, one day the school book fair came round, and there on the table was Better Than Life, but in a small and manageable and chiefly hideable paperback edition. So I bought it for myself, and I decided what I was going to do is I was going to read it in secret, because apparently it was contraband in my house. It was illicit for me to read this book, so I just needed to read it secretly. Now, various ways I could have gone about this. I could have said, hey, it's the early 90s, and restrictions on children being out and about by themselves are much lighter. I'm going for a walk in the woods, the sort of thing that parents actively want children to do.
Ah, you could have climbed up a tree and read the book.
I could have. And there was a woods within sufficient, very close to where we lived, so I could have done that. That's not what I did. That isn't what I thought of. Here's what I thought of. Here is my foolproof plan, so that my parents wouldn't know that I was doing anything suspicious. So again, I'm 11 years old. I'm on that cusp. I'm going from one sort of child to another sort of child, and my way of getting across that gap is to be into Red Dwarf, right? So here's what I did. Every evening, I would shut myself in my bedroom with a sign on the door that said, "Private session in progress, do not enter." I found to be a quite foolproof and non-suspicious way of reading.
Of course. Yeah. What could possibly that could? There's no way that could backfire.
And I hope not. And
that's delightful.
It worked. I read the book and I was left blissfully alone.
Yes.
So thanks, parents. Good work there.
That's wonderful. Oh, that's magical.
But I
that's delightful.
Then the other books happened. My memory of those, the next two books, and the remaining two books, which was Last Human and what was the other one? Backwards.
Yeah.
Was that my memory of reading them as a teenager, which I was by that time, was that I remember finding Last Human a bit long, but ultimately the real third book, and then Backwards, just a sort of puerile, annoying book that I didn't like. Well, interestingly, I reread them all a few years ago as an adult, and I can't remember how many years ago, but certainly within the Twitter era, because I was tweeting about it. And I found something completely different to what I was expecting. Yeah. I found Last Human to be incredibly boring, and just also unacceptable. There's a lot of rape jokes in it.
Yeah, it's bad. It's a bad book.
Bad book. But I found this time Backwards to be really good, and to have proper good sci-fi in it and stuff.
Oh, Backwards is solid. Backwards is a wonderful little book. I will say this, Last Human is the first Red Dwarf novel I ever read.
Oh, God.
I found it, and you have to remember, I grew up, my parents were Trekkies, so we had a lot of Star Trek novels and novelizations around the house. So with Last Human, I thought, oh, this must be like those Star Trek books where they write a book that is set, between this episode and that episode. And it is kind of going to be its own thing, but it's still part of the, overall adventure.
Yeah.
I did it.
Oh, well done.
Good job, Ben. I'll find a new way to die in just a few moments.
Yeah, here we go.
There we go.
There we go.
Hey, what do you say we switch games?
Shall we switch games?
Shall we switch games?
Yeah.
Let's see how quickly Buster Bunny can... Oops!
I've tried...
It's a different game now.
Wait! I've tried listening to the audiobook version of the Red Dwarf books, but he just sounds exactly like Simon the Sorcerer. It's uncanny. Yeah, this is Duckula. If it's up on screen yet. It is.
Is it?
It is.
It's not.
It was.
Well, I've loaded up WinUAE, and what it's done...
Uh-huh.
Hang on a minute. It's being profoundly...
Right. Well, I can see the title screen anyway.
Yeah, you shouldn't be able to, because that's not what WinUAE currently has loaded. Oh, no, you know what it is? There are 2 copies of WinUAE up right now. And I'm not sure how that's happened. There we go. How did I have 2 copies? Oh, look at that. Woo! Okay. So actually, you know what I need to do? I need to make sure that the inputs... There we go. There we go. Play a normal game or play a snap game? I'm going to play a normal game.
What's a snap game?
You know, I genuinely have no idea. Well, these graphics are amazing already. This is pretty spectacular.
Oh, look at it. Wow. So, this is, for anyone who doesn't know, this is a Cosgrove Hall cartoon, the follow-up to, and in fact, spin-off from I forgot what it's called.
Danger Mouse.
Danger Mouse, thank you. I'm going like Count Danger, no. Duckula Mouse, no.
It's interesting to note these things aren't hurting me in any way, shape, or form. Are they likely to?
Really? I think they're probably supposed to.
Hang on. Control Amiga. I only have one Amiga key on this keyboard, by which I mean Windows key. So I'm going to reset thing. Because this is, of course, an entirely legally obtained copy of Count Duckula in... Do you want to say the full title of this game, or shall I?
Count Duckula, no sax, please. We're Egyptian.
Yes.
And the reason it's called that is that not only is this a spin-off game from Count Duckula, the cartoon series, but it is specific... And there's the full legal crack-tro there.
Yeah, entirely 100% legal.
Yep. No Sax Please We're Egyptian was an actual episode of Count Duckula. And this was... Oh, the first episode, says Abby. Well, there we go. This is something that used to happen. There was Yogi Bear versus the Greed Monster was another game tie-in that was an actual episode of a cartoon. They would just randomly base games on single episode, presumably because the team were given one VHS with one episode on it for them to copy.
I'm okay with that.
I mean, yeah. I think it's actively good. It narrows the field down. You don't have to try and cram the whole oeuvre of the cartoon in.
Yeah. Now, we do now have this weird white bar on the side of the screen that was not there before I reset it.
Cool.
But I'm also not... Oh, no! Okay, so they don't hurt you, but if you touch them, it does reduce the amount of time you have left.
Oh, heck. Right,
so
well, that's important, because this is a 10-minute game, and in those 10 minutes, you've got to navigate a big maze.
I'm going to reset it one more time to try to get rid of that white bar, purely for personal aesthetic purposes. Also, I wouldn't want a white bar to sully your YouTube channel, Dave. I know how incredibly... I don't want to use the word precious, but I'm going to... Precious you are about protecting the integrity of your... I'm assuming... Are you the Demon Tomato, or are you Dave, who is a kind of a keeper or ombudsman for tomatoes with demonic origins? That's something I don't think we've ever...
There is actually an answer to that question. The reason I am called Demon Tomato Dave on YouTube is because when I set up my YouTube channel, I did it to promote a comic I was making called The Demon Tomato. Oh. And I was Dave, the Dave who makes the Demon Tomato. I was Demon Tomato Dave, and I thought Demon Tomato was going to be the thing that I would be known for.
That would make you, yeah.
And now that comic, and I used to go around conventions selling these comics. That has been on hiatus for a number of years, but in that time I've been basically redrawing the first issue, because originally it was made by someone who'd never made a comic before, and I literally printed it out, stapled it together, that sort of thing, and it was very scruffily and clumsily hand-drawn and so on. Now it's a bells and whistles fancy digital thing, and I'm trying to make it actually quite good and readable, but my skills have drained, so it's very difficult for me to do, and each page takes me, there's not many more than twice as many pages as there have been years since I started drawing it. But that will one day come out. It's almost complete. What I have now is about 3 pages off what I initially thought would be the full thing, or at least the full first issue. But in the time that I've been redrawing it, it's turned into very much a book rather than a floppy issue. And I keep thinking of more stuff that should go in. So goodness knows how long it's going to take me. But when it comes out, the Demon Tomato will be in some way fun for someone.
So, someone will enjoy this. The Hammersmith Tribune.
That is not a guarantee.
It's something.
So for the first time in a very long time, I am watching the game Count Duckula, No Sax Please, We're Egyptian happen. I last saw this in may even have been the 80s, but it was probably like 1993 on the ZX Spectrum. I've never seen it on the Amiga. Now on the Spectrum, there's Igor, your faithful butler. Brilliant. An hour has been added to your time. I doubt it somehow. Yeah, that's a minute. So you've got 7.5 minutes to play the whole of the rest of the game. Well, good luck. I had this on the Spectrum, and on the Spectrum, it was one of those Spectrum games where the whole thing is done in a single color, and then with lots of quite intricate, dithery black graphics over the top of that. So it was all, I think, blue. And very difficult to see what was going on.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
But I remember I used to play it a bit, a certain amount. Wow, that is annoying.
It's certainly a choice that the developers made.
It is. That's one of the things I noticed about it first.
That they chose this on purpose. Oh, I hate all things.
So have you got to jump directly above the painting on the first hop, and then maybe there'll be a safe brick there? Oh my god! There's no indication, is there?
There's no sign or signal that stuff's about to break bad.
God,
this is some horrible game design. I've definitely lost the minute that I was given by by a person whose name I've decided is Graham, because I've forgotten all the characters' names.
That arse, Graham. No, that was Igor, your faithful butler.
See, I thought that was it, but I also thought, that's too obvious. I'm sure it would
know. I went through the same crisis just a few minutes ago when I first used the name, but I'm pretty sure. Abby, he was called Igor, wasn't he? Yeah.
Oh, I'm
Abby,
ready.
this was a particular favourite episode of yours. Would you like to come and see this game? Actually, to be honest, it's better if you have a look on your phone or something, because I've got a window within a window within a window to squint at here.
Yeah, Abby is uniquely situated to have a more enjoyable experience watching this game than you are, a participant on the stream.
And certainly than you are, who's actually having to play it.
Yeah, this is not the worst game I've ever played. I still think the worst game I've ever played was the Thundercats game for the Amiga. Which I would describe as ghouls and ghosts for people who hate ghouls and ghosts.
I would be perfectly accepting of us never including that on serial ports.
No, I think we kind of have to at some point.
Yeah, because I'd be accepting of us doing it. It's just that I will have to play it.
Yeah, I will. That's the...
Hooray! Okay, well, if you're up for it, we'll do it.
Well, I hope...
Thunder.
Yeah, that piece of music is not in that game whatsoever. Although the history of the development of Thundercats on the Amiga is quite interesting. Because the publishers, who I think it was Mindscape, I forget who it was, promised to have a Thundercats game to market for PC and Amiga by that Christmas. Except the game that was being developed was a different game that they had they bought from the developer, and they said, okay, so you're going to keep working on this game, but instead of it being about ninjas, it's Thundercats. And the developer didn't finish it in time for that lucrative Christmas market, so they had to take another game that was bad and basically slap a Thundercat skin on it, and that's what we got instead for the Amiga. And it's a game that I played a lot of as a kid, and those are wasted hours I'll never get back. Fun fact.
Right. Oh, you used to play it a lot as a kid?
I used to play it, I would say, too much as a kid.
Wow, what a silly
I've got
decision.
8 seconds, and I think I've done it. I've finished the game, everyone.
What did you say, Abby? Oh, Abby's into it. So, doesn't matter what you think, Ben.
This is incredibly... These are such low stakes. We didn't find a saxophone. Someone who is directly under your employ, someone who you hire, is not thrilled.
not pleased with you, and that's how you lose the game. Oh, Igor's not pleased. I didn't find a saxophone. The music, the title music for Thundercats, bit of a classic though.
Oh yeah.
I mean the game.
Yeah. On the Amiga one.
Yeah, I believe I'm familiar with both the Amiga and C64 versions, and the way that I am familiar with such things, because I never played or had the game, the way that I judge what is a bit of a classic when it comes to old game music is if it plays a lot on Scene Stream, the demo scene radio, and I'm sure I've heard it on there.
That's the one, yeah.
Yeah. No point trying to harmonise with a delay, Dave. It's a stream. That's a game that we can play, so we'll talk about that game when we do that, I guess.
Yes, we will. It'll be great, and no one will suffer. Except for me, obviously.
No.
Well done. Igor gives you a broccoli sandwich. Well done, Duckula. Igor gives you a broccoli sandwich, and an hour is added to your time. There he is. Give me another one.
Now, for anyone who doesn't know, the gag here is that Duckula is a vegetarian, and in that regard, something of a failure as a vampire.
Yeah, it's a very good bit. He was a villain in Danger Mouse, wasn't he?
Count Danger Mouse, yeah. Yeah, that's right. He was well, what it was, there was and in fact, this is a good little story to tell because it ties into something we were talking about earlier. There is an episode of Danger Mouse, or it might be a series of episodes where Danger Mouse has a certain number of things he has to gather. There's ingredients he needs to gather for a potion. I can't remember why he needs to gather this potion. It might not even be a potion. There's something he needs to make. And one of the ingredients that he needs to find is vampire duck's feather. Does that ring any sort of a bell to you, Ben? Outside the context of Danger Mouse? It may not.
Not immediately, no.
No. That's because you had the Amiga version of the Dizzy collection.
Yes.
Because the original Dizzy, the Ultimate Cartoon Adventure, had Dizzy collecting the ingredients for a potion, the final one of which was Vampire Duck's Feather. And it wasn't until I got myself a Danger Mouse DVD at university that I realised that where this reference came from.
Huh.
That was the Oliver Twins, I guess. I guess they were trying to, because they always wanted to make a cartoon adventure, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if they were essentially researching current cartoons by watching whatever was on CBBC that day or whatever.
Or just flat out lifting stuff from cartoons.
And just I'm thinking of how they would have come across Duckula. It must have just been on the day that they looked at it. And that potion was called and this always confused me, the Avawiffavi potion. And that was a very strange word.
What a great name.
And I asked them on Twitter a few years ago, why was it called the Avawiffavi potion? And honestly, I should have I was so close to guessing, because it was... I kind of did guess why it is, but it was so stupid that I turned down my guess in the same way that you did with the name Igor a minute ago.
Yeah.
Which is that they just wanted it to sound like it's a smelly potion. Have a whiff of E. Have a whiff of E. That's it.
Have a whiff of the drug ecstasy.
No.
No, it's clearly not it. No.
I assume it's E as in the. Like, have a whiff of E.
Yeah, it's probably not ecstasy. Well, because everyone knows ecstasy's odorless, so...
Is it?
I've no idea. I'm probably...
I mean, it does. Yeah, it's not really. It doesn't come in a form that one would smell. I don't know. I don't know anything about illicit drugs, and that's just a fact.
I will say this: I have taken half of an ecstasy tablet exactly once.
You?
Yes, I did.
Really? Under what circumstances?
It was New Year's 2009, and it was at my girlfriend at the time, her and her housemates' New Year's party. And everyone was doing it.
Of course, yeah. So you were like, well, I'll just have a little nibble.
Originally, I wasn't going to, and I thought, well, it's the new year. What's stopping me? And
new year, new me, something, yeah.
And then Duckula died.
Oh God! Well, no wonder you haven't done any since.
Yeah. So
imagine having that on your conscience.
Yeah, I can't. This is why
half of one ecstasy tablet, and Count Duckula himself is killed.
He's been deaded.
Well, I haven't even gone that far. I literally have never had anything up to and including a normal cigarette.
See,
I've never imbibed anything other than alcohol.
I've never had a regular cigarette. I've also never had a drug cigarette, but my mother was very partial to her jazz cigarettes when I was growing up.
Right.
So I'm very
it was accepted in the household.
Well, specifically it was accepted by my mother, who loved to smoke herself a reefer-style reefer-style spliff doobie. Sorry, that's what happens when you try to quote space when you've only been awake for 2 hours.
Yeah, the one that my go-to is that I once dreamt that my grandmother called such a device a quote magic piff. Now she never did. This was purely constructed from my own brain. He's smoking a magic piff, she said in the dream.
Your subconscious, I gotta say, cracking place. Must be one. I'd love to visit sometime.
It is quite fun in there.
There's something slightly menacing about the jovial way in which you responded to that. But yeah, I mean now.
Was that supposed to be terrifying?
You're supposed to be.
Oh no!
You're supposed to be
invade my subconscious.
You are supposed to live in a constant state of panic vis-a-vis your own subconscious. That's really kind of the expected reaction to knowing that you have deep, dark desires, knowable not even to yourself.
No, mine's great. I just have a fun time in my own subconscious. That's why I'm doing quite well in quarantine.
I don't know where I am, what I'm doing, or where I'm supposed to go. So in many ways, it's just a life simulator.
Yeah.
I've not been to Egypt, but I do.
I assume what you're trying to do is get to the top.
Yeah, I would imagine up is the direction I want to be going in.
Yeah.
My problem is I'm not doing that. In fact, I would describe the direction I'm going in as staunchly downwards.
Yeah.
But there are a lot
I'm looking on the C64 wiki to see if there's anything I can find out about the development of this game that might be of interest. Let's see. So, Alternative Software released the computer game Count Duckula No Sax Please for Egyptian. In the game, Igor Nani and Count Duckula have decided to search the tomb of the great pharaoh Upanatum to find the mystic saxophone. What they don't know is that they have brought along some unwanted guests in the form of the Crow Brothers. The game is a basic jump-and-run platform-type game. At the start, the castle is transported to an ancient pyramid, then players have a set amount of time to go through the pyramid, evading the various baddies, to retrieve the mystic sax before the Count's castle automatically returns to Transylvania, leaving the player stranded in Egypt. The title of the game is a parody, yes, we know. The game is available, yes, we know. No, there's nothing of interest written there, so I guess we just don't know. I tell you what, though, there is a solution written down here, and I suggest that we follow it as we... Not yet, because we're only a few minutes in, but when you really get sick to death of this, I think we can follow this solution, because there's only 7 points to this solution. It's like 1, go to this place. 2, go to this place. And it's... I mean, I suppose that makes sense, because you've only got 10 minutes to do the whole thing, so there can't be very much to do.
Leo says, quote, I can't believe I missed your M.R. Blobby stream. Michael Robert Blobby. That's his legal name. We did have a little discussion last time about what Mr. Blobby's legal name was.
We did.
And I think we actually did settle on something, but I cannot for the life of me remember what it was. And it's a pity because it's not like we can, go back and revisit that period in time, possibly using some
There's no way of doing it.
Yeah, using some kind of, say, viewing equipment. That technology just simply doesn't exist yet.
No, it doesn't. It does not exist. Max says, for some reason, the scenery just gives me weird Prince of Persia vibes. Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
Playing this feels like I'm playing an unfinished version of Prince of Persia.
Yeah. Imagine what history would have been like if instead of Prince of Persia, that had been a Duckula game, but with like really realistic animation.
Well, that would have led into Ubisoft releasing Count Duckula: The Sands of Time
exactly
in the early 2000s, which I would be absolutely on board with.
Exactly, and then Max there has a brother who has speedrun that game, or at least one of those games. And that would have been a Duckula game, and we would be right back round. Leo, don't worry, my Mr. Blobby stream is to be viewed on my channel. I wish it was on my Bulma Boops Buttons channel, but that's such a fuss to arrange that we usually call it just Gus. So go to Demon Tomato Dave instead, and you'll find the VOD there. And it's got one comment on it, and it's from somebody who says, who laughs at a joke that we do, and then says that, oh, now you've got into lefty politics, I'm out.
That was fun.
That's the one comment, so if anybody wants to leave any more comments, that would be fine.
Do we want to talk about politics on this one, or do we want to leave it as is for now?
Have you got any?
I think Count Duckula is... I think there's an interesting conversation we had about a monster attempting to reform themselves as a vegetarian. I think that's an allegory for someone who's been fairly right-wing, or is indeed constructed to be a right-wing character or caricature, if you like.
Well, now hang on. There's an extra element to this because don't forget. That
don't forget. I don't remember. I've already.
Don't remember.
No, you've already told me not to remember, so I'm not going to.
He was never a bad vampire in the first place. He was raised wrong because they used tomato ketchup instead of blood.
Of course.
And so what the allegory is closer to someone who comes from an extremely right-wing family, who now wants to be all. Because being a vegetarian, that's fairly lefty, right? You're not going to get a lot of dyed-in-the-wool conservatives being vegetarians. So I think this can be compared to a right-wing family with a left-wing, latest offspring, as it were.
See, there's something for everyone in Count Duckula. No sex, please, we're Egyptian.
Yeah. See, there's politics in everything.
Yeah, everything's political. Oh, hello.
Can't take politics out of your cartoons. They've always been there. Alex TD says Jake Gyllenhaal as Count Duckula. Oh, that was Nanny up there. I wonder what Nanny will do for you if you can get to
her. Nothing, because I did not get to her, but I did discover Igor, and he gave me a broccoli sandwich, which froze me in time for, there we go, for a year.
Well, there you go. Yes, but I know that. What about Nanny? What about Nanny? What does Nanny do?
I suspect Nanny smashes through these bricks at intervals, because that's where she came from.
That's right.
When a nan and a woman love each other very much.
I missed that. Did she come smashing through a wall?
She did smash through a wall, yes, which I think is her thing.
That is her thing.
If I have any memory about Count Duckula, and I assure you that I do not, then it's... I love these little pixelated dudes like dancing on this wall decor, this skirting.
Yeah. Are they actually animated? Because they should be.
They're not animated, and in many ways that's to our loss.
It is, isn't it?
I am losing a lot of time, which is...
I thought you were going to say blood, so I am relieved in that regard.
I also thought I was going to say blood. I was like, I'm saying this, like, it's the next word blood, Benjamin. No, it's not, thankfully.
Max says, Duckula Forgotten Sands, and it also means that we'd have had some weird sequel where Count Duckula turns into an angry edgelord, fighting booby ladies while bad metal plays.
Yes, but then we get Count Duckula, the Two Princes, or whatever that one was called, that tried very hard to appease people who were fans of the original Sands of Time while also making happy the million-plus people who bought the second one that nobody likes.
Dr. Fruitback asks an impossible question. Which is better, Count Duckula or Decap Attack? Now, if what we're comparing here is Count Duckula the cartoon and Decap Attack the comic, I cannot make that distinct. There's no way I can choose between those. In fact, I think of them as being cut from the same cloth. Abby goes with Decap Attack. Strong words from Abby, a known Duckula fan.
I love Duckula, but
yeah. And but he's talking games. I say he. That was an incorrect word to say because doctor can be any. But am I talking games or cartoons/comics?
Well, only you can tell us that. We can't. We don't know what you're talking about. So you have to. I'm going to try play a Snap game and see what happens. Oh, it is. It's literally Snap.
It's Snap. It is a game of Snap.
Now, I wanted to see if I could perhaps use the mouse here because as I'm moving the stick left and right, it's not like immediately snapping from start to stop. It's
some game of Snap. This is.
It's not very good. Oh, it's not quite Snap. It's more like the Mario puzzle slider.
Yeah. Wait, is that the right tune for that?
Yes, it is. Very well done.
What goes I just know that something goes and so I included it in the tune.
It's you. You go.
What goes brr? There's something makes the
Oh,
sound
that's
like brr
that's
there.
when you misalign the things. I did it.
Oh, cool. Hey, what sound happens when you correctly align things? Is it a bidding?
Yes, I think so.
Mm.
I'm doing all right because I figured out the pattern.
Oh, you have? No.
That one
So
was
much for the pattern.
The pattern was fine. I'm bad
So
at
you're
games.
having to move a cursor gradually from one button to the other.
Using a joystick of all things.
Wow, that's unacceptable.
I would go so far as to say it is actively illegal.
I think it is. Let me find out if everybody who made this game was arrested.
If they weren't, then tut 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 Duckula, get Igor to give you a broccoli sandwich. So the lose condition of the Snap game is the you've done well enough to justify earning some additional points in the main game.
Oh my god! Sorry, I've just had my mind vaguely blown by the first line in the Count Duckula wiki page, which is not to be confused with the unrelated 1979 cartoon, also based around a vampire duck, Quackula.
That doesn't sound real.
That is a Filmation cartoon. He starred in his own segment on The New Adventures of Mighty Mouse. What, The New Adventures of Mighty Mouse? Like the really silly one? No, apparently this was a 1979 to 80. And he was voiced by Frank Welker.
That's kind of cool. I want Duckula meets Quackula.
I mean, yes. I don't know why that hasn't happened.
I would imagine due to complex right issues, but what do I know?
Yes, complex right issues, plus the fact that Quackula looks a lot like Duckula, and there may be an issue there.
There might be many issues there.
Yeah. Very similar indeed. Very similar indeed. Ooh. Right. So that's that. I'm trying to find information about the game, though.
This game is making the same mistake that a lot of licensed tie-in video games in the 80s and 90s made, where they've decided that the music for the level, keeping in mind that there is only one level on this game, should basically be a version of the theme.
Oh well, it's an argument that you can make, but that's a title screen situation.
That's absolutely a title screen situation.
Yeah, and it's not as if it's not even as though the cartoon series didn't have background music that could have been converted into video game music. I can't personally remember any of the background music from Duckula. It's probably one of those situations where if I was to sit and watch an episode, I'd be able to hum along with it. But the reason I know this is that a moment ago when I was looking up "No Sax Please," and I'll do it again now, "No Sax Please, We're Egyptian," trying to find information about the making of the game, I instead found information about the episode. And among that episode was a list of, and this is on the Count Duckula fandom wiki, a list of the instrumental music to be heard in the background, such as "Finger of Fear" by Pete Rugolo, "Fogbound" by Ivor Slaney, "Creeps No. 1" by H.M. Farah. I'm getting the sense that these might be, library music.
Yeah.
They're just. But then, "Saw" theme by William Treitel.
Oh, I have that. I actually have
that?
I have a lot of that library music because a lot of it has also been used in other cartoons, including Ren and Stimpy, SpongeBob SquarePants, and the pornographic adventures of Captain Cock, which I may have just made up now because I wanted to do a fun rule of three joke, but I couldn't think of a.
You had me on the edge of my seat there, and you've reminded me of something I was going to say last episode of this, and I might have started saying it and then gone, oh, what was I about to say?
Yeah, we're very good at that. We've got that down to an art form, I think.
Well, one time, my parents called me in something between confusion and and laughter. And they told me that they'd been tidying up the back room of the house, which is where our Amiga was, and Spectrum and that sort of thing. And they had discovered, hidden away in a hiding place, in a bona fide hiding place. And it's one which, now that I think about it, I don't remember ever using as a hiding place, but I would have. I knew about this place. My dad... So this room of the house... which has just been demolished, by the way. So this is no longer the case. But for a good on 30 years or so, was initially when they moved in their 20s, all excited. That was the music room, and Dad set up his best speakers there. He put all his guitars there. He had a 4-track, all that sort of thing. And me and him used to record songs. There's a recording of me singing My Grandfather's Clock, age 2, and couple of other songs like that. So I went on to start writing my own, and we would perform them together. It was great. But as the computer age dawned on us, that was the Spectrum room and then the Amiga room. And Dad had hanging up on a cupboard door a sort of it was like a hanging, I don't know, a bit of tarpaulin or something that had lots of pockets in it. And what you're supposed to put in these pockets are your stuff, your leads, your pedals, that sort of thing. And so I knew to go there, for example, to get the wire that goes from a headphone socket in, say, a VCR to the phono sockets in, say, a ghetto blaster.
Yeah.
And by doing that, I could then record stuff off the telly in stereo, even before we had a stereo TV. That's the sort of place. So I knew about these little pockets. And in one of these pockets, not gone through and not touched for a long time, they found something that gave them pause, because they don't remember ever there being such a thing. They turned into a bear. Yeah. And they didn't remember such a thing being in the house, and they certainly wouldn't have approved of such a thing being in the house. And I bet I'm going to go and get that thing, because we have it now here in the flat, and I'm going to show you the rude and illicit thing that my parents found hidden in a hiding place that I knew about, but don't remember hiding this thing in.
It's just a glossy 6x4 of Noel Edmonds. That's literally all it is.
I'm going to go and get it. See you in a moment.
All right. Which means I'm holding down the fort myself. This is, I think, for Dave, a great opportunity to go to the bathroom without telling us that's what he's doing.
Good idea, but that's not what I'm going to do.
No.
I'm just going to go straight and get this item.
He has to go and get it from its new hiding place now. I don't think I'm ever going to finish this game. I don't think it's going to happen, because all I seem to be doing is disappointing my peers. That seems to be the outcome of this game every time I try to... Toonstruck! Toonstruck was a fantastic game. Still is, in fact, and you can buy it now. You can still get Toonstruck. That was a wonderful little game. Love Toonstruck. I'm going to try and play this one more time and see if I can achieve any kind of victory.
Well, I've returned, and I have the item in question. And here it is. I'm going to hold it up to the camera for anyone watching to see. I don't know if you are going to be able to see this, Ben.
Oh, I can see it twice.
It's an Amiga game called Sex Vixens from Space.
I need to know where this came from. Other than...
Same.
Did neither you nor your father has any memory of procuring this title?
I have genuinely no idea how this got... Because it's obviously me.
Yeah.
It's gotta be me.
Obvious. I mean, that goes without saying. I just assumed.
Everything else that I ever had that was in any way illicit, up to and including Better Than Life, the second Red Dwarf. I can not only remember having it, but I can remember the rigmarole I went through trying to conceal it. I know where every hiding place I was aware of was and what was hidden in it. There aren't many. This, I don't remember. I do not remember this. I can't think of a candidate for who would have brought this round my house. I absolutely wouldn't have bought it, but it's in its official box. If I'd had this, it would have been pirated. You know, I wouldn't have had the actual...
I can count on one hand the number of legitimate Amiga games that I had as a kid.
I was lucky in that, for some reason, maybe struck by the amount of pirating that went on, my dad did consent to join an Amiga Games Club thing where you you had to buy one game per month, but it came a bit cheaper than if you bought games elsewhere. So we did have a run of actual boxed games, but outside that, no. And I'm fairly sure Sex Vixens from Space wouldn't have been one of those. So this is a 1988 game by Free Spirit Software Inc., and it says...
it would have to come from a company called Free Spirit Software. That would have to happen.
And it says, warning, this game is for adults only. Because of the mature subject matter of this game, it is not recommended for children or minors. Adult graphic adventure game. It's a text adventure. Adult graphic adventure game for the Amiga and IBM computers. You are Captain Brad Stallion.
Perfect.
Owner and operator of the one-man vehicle known throughout the galaxy as the Big Thruster. You have been assigned to a high-priority mission by the Federated Government. The Federated Government has long been harried by a series of raids on the male population of its colonies. It's rumored that these raids are conducted by the Tribe, a colony of beautiful, sex-starved female clones from the mysterious planet Mondo. Your mission is to locate the colony and destroy the deadly sex ray gun. Be prepared to spend hours admiring the stunning graphics of this game.
Hours.
Be entranced by the crisp detail of the ship's control panel. Okay.
Like, that's the selling. Well, they know what you're really there for, so they can put any old bollocks on the back of the box and be like, well, we already know you're going to buy this. If you're holding it, you're either gently amused by the premise, or you are the kind of person who is going to buy this. And so we can put whatever we want on the back of this box. It's fine.
And also, I think they're making a correct calculation about the audience of this game, right? This is spotty Amiga owners. And remember, this is 1988. Like, I don't know when did the Amiga 500 Plus come out? It was sort of... When did the Amiga 500 Plus come out? Actually?
I want to say 1991?
Yeah, I'm thinking later. Oh, 1987.
Oh, really?
So that's the Amiga 500.
Yeah.
Which was 1987.
Because I feel like in my mind, the 500 Plus came out around the same time as the 1200. And I don't know if that's true.
I think it did. Yeah, 1991. You're absolutely correct, and I think it did. I think the two of them came out at the same time. So what we're looking at here is pre-Amiga 500 Plus. So we're not looking at the time when the Amiga was particularly affordable or popular. And so yeah, this is a game for spotty people who have a home computer with an operating system. They have a copy of Workbench in one hand and nothing in the other. What shall we do with that? And so here is a game which is really going to appeal to them because it's got ladies, not naked ladies, or at least not on the screenshots. And then, yes, a complicated control panel, which, listen, I mean, that I feel that. I can feel my attraction towards such a thing. A game in those days where it's like, you're going to have a lot of buttons, they're going to be on screen, they'll do all sorts of things. It's very dusty, this. Be prepared to spend hours admiring the stunning graphics, ship's control panel. Gaze upon the sleek silhouette of the Grav car. Feast your eyes upon the silken softness
This is a Bill Bailey bit now. Seek out the chalky dust of the Love 7.
Feast your eyes upon the silken softness of the verdant valleys of planet Mondo. Enjoy the spectacular beauty of outer space. Disclaimer. Free Spirit Software Inc. disclaims any responsibility for alleged damages, consequential or inconsequential, resulting from inappropriate use of this game. This includes, but is not limited to, allegations of eye strain, nearsightedness, high blood pressure, feeble-mindedness, priapism, nymphomania, nervousness, insanity, temporary or permanent, unwanted hair growth or loss, mental incapacitation, excessive perspiration, or general physical debilitation.
That feels like a first draft of the warning on the box of Lemmings.
Bring back silliness in the games industry.
Bring back silliness in virtual pornography, I think also is the...
I mean, I imagine that's very silly as it is.
Yes.
But I don't think you would get that. I don't think you get a disclaimer like that in this day and age of angry gamers complaining about everything. See if I can get some of the screenshots to appear.
Well, that's definitely... They definitely made that game, and they definitely digitized those photos. Now, the question I have to ask you, Dave, and I realise I'm asking quite a lot of you on what is a very public forum, where as many as 24 people are currently watching us play this game. Have you fired up the Sexy Sex game from 6?
This is a good question. I've not done that. There's a control panel, by the way, if you can see that.
Oh, it is a beautifully detailed control panel.
Isn't it?
I'm inflamed with sexual lust at this point from the control panel and the control panel alone. I've been given an extra full minute, 6 seconds with 6 seconds left on the clock.
Oh, good. Now, what you couldn't see at that resolution is that those aren't, in fact, digitized photos. They are pixel art that someone has hand drawn, and as such, the bits don't all click quite together. They're not fully anatomically right. But there you go. I think that makes it more interesting, not less. No, I haven't. I haven't so much as downloaded and emulated it. Oh dear.
I was just
failed to find the facts.
I was a gnat's testicle away from collecting an ankh that I've seen a lot of. We've got 20 minutes left on the clock. I imagine we're probably going to wrap this up in the next 15 minutes. So that you can go be a Patreon boy. How about we go back to that walkthrough that I found? Yes. This is how we're going to do it. That's you, are going to instruct me, that's not you, how to finish Count Duckula in 10 minutes. Okay, I'm playing a normal game. We're going to have the music on. We're going to have the sound effects also on. Here we go. Step 1. Head to the right of the first floor. You'll first need a key found by going straight right. Alright, I'm going straight right. I appear to have accidentally turned off the game music. I don't know how I did that. But that just makes this more tense. In the heart of Transylvania, in the Vampire Hall of Fame, there's not a vampire zanier than Duckula. Oh, yeah. He won't bite beast or man, because he's vegetarian. Or because he goes, Brah! At the same time. So to me, I thought they were going like, because he's a Brah! And I couldn't quite hear the word vegetarian. The closest I heard was something along the lines of because he's a banana man, but I knew it wasn't that. Probably not that. Okay, so I got the key. I've opened this door going right most. You've got the key? I got the key, and I opened the door going right. I'm continuing to go right. There's another key and another door. I'm still going right. Oh. Wait, was it just collect the key, or was it just keep going right? It was just collect the key. I think you may have wasted the key. Well, I'm still going right. I'm continuing. I collected the key, and I'm still going right, and I found a pouch. Okay. I don't think that's going to work, Ben. I think we're going to have to start again. But see what's in that pouch. Nothing, because I've collected this pouch, I'm going to say 50 times. I'm going to restart the game. And I will restart the game by following this mummy and asking him how his day's been. How's your day been, mummy? That's a weird sentence. I appear to no longer be killable by this particular brick. That's fine. Cool. It's a stormtrooper. If I cover him up, he looks a little bit like a sleepwalking stormtrooper. Well, I mean, if you cover him up and use your imagination, it can look like anything you like. One of the 6 sex vixens from space, anything. No, they would not debase themselves to appear in No Sex, Please, We're Egyptian. Here is the full... I'm just going to read you the full first thing. I was holding off because I thought we would take it in stages, but that didn't work, so I'm going to read you all of it. And I want to stress, that's my failing, not yours, although you should take some responsibility. For that. Yeah, no, I won't, and I also want to stress what you stressed. So the first step is, number 1, head to the right of the first floor. You'll first need a key found by going straight right. Backtrack to the stairs that let you reach one screen up and head right to the next down staircase. The bottom right corner has a sandbag. So you see why I held off from going through all of that. There's quite a few things. So you go straight right and you get to your key. Okay, I got the key. And then you backtrack to the stairs that let you reach one screen up. One screen up. Let's go. Okay, so here's some stairs. They let me go one screen up. And then head right to the next down staircase. Right to the next down. Oh, I've been given a broccoli sandwich. Brilliant. At this early stage in the game, I've been given some broccoli. Good. There are very few games where you can say, you know what, broccoli, good job. Yeah. I mean, you can say, you know what, broccoli, whatever you're doing, but it just doesn't mean... You know what, broccoli, I don't know that I'm satisfied. There we go, that was it. Down staircase. Down staircase. The bottom right corner has a sandbag. Bottom right corner has a sandbag.
Have we just come to the same sandbag?
I think we took a different route, but I think we took a route that's going to allow us to not waste keys.
Same sandbag.
I have the sandbag.
Climb the pyramid on the right-hand side. This brings you to a pedestal where you can use the sandbag.
Climb the pyramid on the right-hand side.
Yep.
Isn't that a drug song?
Yes, it is. Yeah, climb the pyramid on the right-hand side. A biddly 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 bong.
That's how it goes, yeah.
Yeah.
Climb the pyramid on the right-hand side. I know how pyramids work. Here we go. What pyramid are we referring to? Because we're in the pyramid. I'm guessing I'm just going to keep going right and see what happens.
Yeah, I think it just means go right and up as much as you possibly can.
Well, let's see how that goes. All right, well, up, and now I'm having
and
a go.
If you keep doing it, you'll know you did it because you'll come to a pedestal that you can put the sandbag on.
Okay, well, I haven't encountered a pedestal yet.
Well, I think you're allowed to go left, just as long as you...
Don't do that.
Yeah, as long as you stick as far as you can to the right-hand side and climb the pyramid.
I wonder if anyone has speedrun this game. If there are any good speedrun strats. Ah, Jemima, come on now.
Okay, so that was just to the left of the pillar. Yes, yes, yes. You're hoovering up keys. This is good stuff. Okay, head to the right because you're climbing up the right-hand side. There's a joke on the wall there. They're making a television in ancient Egypt. Very amusing.
There's also a lot of eyes.
Uh-huh.
But,
not really.
Okay. Oh, there's that pedestal.
There's the pedestal. That's what you need to get to.
Gotta get up there. All right. Oh, I'm so close.
Gotta get going.
These... Is there a Gummy Bears game? I know that wasn't the Gummy Bears theme, but that's where my brain went.
It was nearly. That was the New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh.
Yes.
Okay, so you put your thing on that.
How do I do that? What is the button for that?
I can't possibly tell you, I'm afraid.
Oh, I did something. Oh, I quit the game. That's what I did.
Oh, good.
This is very good. We're making tremendous progress.
Amiga controls.
Yes. How do you use? I want to use sand with plinth.
Well, it looks to me like a Dizzy style, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Inventory.
Yeah. So that would be what? Space? Space did not do it.
Yeah, it would usually, wouldn't it? Let's see. And here on the strategy wiki, it says, due to technical limitations, the ZX and CPC versions were presented in grey. However, the Commodore 64 and Amiga versions are presented in full colour, and the latter also incorporates an extra snap game, reminiscent of the spade panels in Super Mario Bros. 3.
Hey, what do you know?
I know that. No mention of the controls there.
Is the manual on the Hall of Light?
Hall of Light, Amiga, Duckula. It is. Or, well, there's a page for it. Let's see if I can find the manual. There it is. There it is. Okay, I'm loading it up. Let's see. Controls. It's keys 1, 2, and 3.
Oh, of course.
Of course it is. Well, you know what to do to get the sandbag and the pedestal, so just do that.
I sure do. I've almost certainly gone the wrong way. I want to stress this, that I may have made what we in the industry refer to as a mistake.
Oh dear. If you were to collect that Ank, it would have given you 3 hours, or rather minutes.
Minutes. It would take me 3 minutes to get there. I've had to restart because I'm pretty confident I've gone the wrong way.
Right.
So, let's start again. So that first instruction is go all the way right. I'm going to need a key.
Excuse me. I'm all full of dust now.
That's your own fault for grabbing those...
sex vixens. I know.
You shouldn't have grabbed those sex vixens. I forgot what the game was called, and I was kind of mentally groping in the dark for the title of the game.
That's something you do in the game.
I thought so. Okay, so it's go as far right as possible and get a key, right?
Yes. This is very easy, Ben. Just go right, get key.
I got key, and now I've got to go left, and now I've got to go right again. Go up to those stairs, and then follow them along.
Keep going as right as you possibly can, except when you go up. And that's pretty much the trick. And remember that bit where you have to jump over the trick block next to the pillar.
Yes, I do remember this now. I know exactly where I'm going.
Said all of that very fluently. Oh, I'll go and have a look at the chat while we.
Yeah, how's the chat doing?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember where my tab is. I'm many tabs in by this point. This always happens to me.
Your tab's deep. Tabs Deep, by the way, is my favourite blues jazz musician.
Worms T17 says, there was a Pac-Man reference in the actual episode this game was based on.
Oh.
It was during a scene where Igor is telling Duckula about the sax. Oh, and M. Bulmer, my dad, says, whose was it? Are you referring, Dad, to Sex Victim from Space? Because this has been the discussion. Don't know. I do not. I have no memory of this. I accept that I am the likely culprit for its having been hidden away in the back room, but I think I would remember, because I can remember everything that I ever hid from anyone. Because there weren't many of them. Earlier in the stream, we had the story of the time I tried to hide from you the fact that I was reading the second Red Dwarf book, for instance. Because it was unsure whether I was old enough to do so. But yeah, no, I honestly don't know. I can't even think of like which friend would have brought it round. I mean, I suppose I can think of a couple of potential culprits, but not that also at the same time had Amiga game, or at least, I mean, I think of plenty of people who I might have got a pirated one off.
Boom, there we go.
But not an actual in the box. Someone bought this. Like, what was I? 11 to 14 years old?
Who's going to sell you that? So
yeah.
My next question becomes, which direction are we going? So I've done the plinth. I've done the...
Oh, you've done the plinth.
It's
right,
done.
Right. Okay. So next thing is head left, climb the stairs, and jump across the gaps. This leads to the death mask.
That is a separate game for the Amiga that was a first-person shooter.
Oh.
Fun fact.
Oh.
Yeah, there was a first-person shooter for the Amiga called Death Mask, or as it was called in France, Death Mark, or however you say that particular word. So now I have the Death Mask.
Okay, now you backtrack to the stairs left of the pedestal door and head down those stairs and jump across those gaps and get a key.
Okay. There are several stairs left of the pedestal door.
Flip. Okay, all it says is backtrack to the stairs left of the pedestal door, head down the stairs, jump across the gaps. So go down some stairs that have some gaps.
Okay, I think I know where we're going. Okay, so I think I'm going to go down here. Oh, here I see. Okay, I see exactly where we are.
You will collect a key. Now that's a tempting key. I wonder if you're supposed to go down to that one, but for now, persevere. We'll see. Oh!
Well, all I've done instead is I've fallen to my doom, and I have found a vase.
And up there is a key. Wait, yes, you want that. Get that container, then go back and get the key that's also on this level.
Okay. Thank heavens.
That's not the key they wanted you to get, but let's hope that they are all universal. Okay, return to the pedestal.
That is my favourite Bond movie. No.
Good. No.
Okay,
Bad.
So what's happened here is many bad things. I'll be honest with you, at this point, the chances of me finishing this game are, I'm going to use the word slim.
They're reducing.
Because what happened is, I fell in a way that I don't think allows me to return from whence I cameth.
Well, it was silly of you to fall. Wait a minute, is this not us climbing the pyramid to the right? I think this is it.
It might be. You know what it is, but...
Yes.
But will I do it in a minute and a half? Or less, considering...
Not if you keep blithering on.
That's the spirit.
This track might take us past Igors and nannies and things. You never know. Well, what you're going to do is try to get to the pedestal, and then climb the stairs and head right to reach the very top of the pyramid. We're near the end.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's not much to do.
Huh.
Like I say, it's only 7 points, and we're on point 5.
There's the plinth. Okay. If I don't finish this game in the next 15 seconds, I will count myself as a failure. Alright, I'm at the plinth. I'm heading to the steps to the left.
Okay, climb the stairs and head right to reach the top of the pyramid.
I've run out of time.
You ran out of time.
And I think so have we, in fact.
Very, very close. I can spare one more attempt.
Alright, let's try one more time. One more time. Yeah. For Guts and Glory.
Yeah.
Guts and Glory is my favourite 80s action hero.
He's my favourite villain from Captain Planet.
I'm Guts and Glory. I don't know who that is.
That was Guts and Glory.
That was Guts and Glory, yeah.
Yeah.
He, I remember when he teamed up with Duke Nukem and Loot and Plunder?
Yes.
Do you remember the...
God, I often forget that even the name Duke Nukem was nicked from something else.
I will tell you this. There was an episode of Captain Planet where someone travelled in, I think it was Wheeler travelled in time and accidentally altered the fates of all of the Planeteers so that they no longer became Planeteers. And that episode, I have such vague memories of that episode, but it literally gave me nightmares for, I want to say, a solid month.
Oh.
I did own one Captain Planet VHS, and it had the first episode on it, and then it also had an episode where someone else who was not Gaia gave them big metal gloves that were gauntlets that gave them like enhanced versions of the powers.
Oh. Was that bad? Should they not have been tempted?
Yeah, basically it was, well, we can do damage with this. It's better, good. And then it wasn't, it turns out. I'm not gonna lie, I think this is a bad start. I think my speedrun strats, unfortunately, are not as efficient as they are when I, for example, set the world record for Simon the Sorcerer.
That was quite a day.
That was a wonderful day. Oh, what a magical day that was.
I know.
And my record, it's been a year and a half later, and been beat.
That's the thing, I was about to say, no one can take that away from you, but of course they can.
There's a part of me, I'm not going to lie, wants someone to take that away from me, because I cannot have the world record for Simon the Sorcerer with my... I don't have the fastest reflexes. I don't even have a tremendous amount of dexterity in my hands. And admittedly, that is because of a disability. But if I can have the world record, firstly, that means anyone can set any world record. You just have to believe. And secondly, someone can come along, and I'm confident that if you're quick enough, I reckon a sub 55 record on Simon the Sorcerer is very achievable.
I had some sub 55 records in the 90s.
How you feeling about that, Joe? You feel good about that?
Really good. Really, really good. I'm feeling a bit blue about it, actually. What about if someone did break your record? Would that be ableist?
I'm going to say no.
Cool. Okay, well, there we go. So that's an open invitation then.
I want someone to break my record because I don't think I have the physical ability due to my disability, my limitations, to break the 55-minute mark. But I think it's possible. I think I was on par at one point until I had some issues with my hands. I think if I'd been a little bit faster, I think I could have possibly broken 56. I think 55 is very, very doable by someone with the skills.
With the gumption.
With the gumption and with a fully functioning clicking finger.
Mm.
And a hand to which that finger is attached.
Oh, that's the trick, isn't it?
Yeah, you got to have the finger does have to be attached to the hand.
Yes, because that's what Ben's disability is that he's got all of his fingers, but they're not attached to hands.
Yeah, it's called Rayman's disease, and what it means is all of my fingers kind of hover separate from my actual palm, from the what I like to call the uncooked chicken of my hand.
Yes. It can be quite spooky,
yeah.
Especially because Ben can, I don't know if you've ever seen this, he can send his fingers to almost unlimited distances. And he has got up to some shenanigans with that, let me tell you.
It's been pretty cool. I have to say, in terms of like positive representation, it was really nice to see someone with my specific disability cast in the latest season of Doctor Who.
I know, yeah, I was thinking, that must have been a real moment. You must have wept tears of joy.
I would have preferred that they weren't playing a villain, because I feel like that's going to paint a negative...
That's the trouble, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just, yeah. Because, yeah.
But I can't fault that it's nice to see, you know, people with my specific disability represented on the screen. Now,
I suppose, but you're allowed to ask for more. It's like how, you know, there should be better gay representation than people who always die. And there should be better unlimited reach wiggly tickle fingers representation than people who use that for villainy, even though that is, let's face it, what most people use it for.
Yeah, Wiggly Tickle Fingers, by the way, is my favourite actor to play the role of Sherlock Holmes, and I do think that I really like the writing. I liked his take on the character. This is a dead end.
That is a dead end. Can you remember what you're supposed to be doing? Oh dear,
it's not
what was that, man?
No, I think this is the I was going to say the pitfall that I fell into last time.
Yeah.
So now I just have to climb up to the top again. That's the thing I have to do.
You and your silly wiggly fingers. The there is by the way, a Duckula 2.
There is. It
turns out.
Some sacks, please.
Yeah. It says here, Count Duckula 2 is a platform game in which the player advances Duckula from screen to screen, shooting soft toys with a ketchup gun.
Different, I'm guessing, a very different type of game.
It is, yes. Now, there is no listing on Wikipedia, as far as I can tell, for this game, but there is for the second game, and there is and the majority of that is the reception section, which tells me that there's a story to be told there, so I'm going to have a look at it. Unless you are in any danger of needing guidance.
Oh no, please! I'm heading up to where the plinth was, and then I'm gonna climb and head right and see what happens.
Okay. Well, what is supposed to happen is you're supposed to get to the top floor and then head right to get a hammer. So you try and do that.
Let's see if I can do that in 1 minute and 50 seconds.
Critically, Count Duckula 2 consistently achieved some of the lowest review scores of the 8-bit era and is considered one of the worst games published for these platforms. Sinclair User reviewed the game, awarding it 64%, concluding, if you like silent, slow, basic, dated, unresponsive, annoying games, get it. The Your Sinclair... I feel as if that deserves lower than a 64% in that case. Here we go. The Your Sinclair review was more scathing, awarding 9%.
I found the hammer. I'm at the hammer.
Oh, you got the hammer. Okay,
I now
great.
have hammer.
Use the hammer to break the container.
There's a key in the container.
Is that the container with the sacks in it? Yes, go get the sacks.
I've got a minute to win it.
Do it. On the top
I did
floor.
it. I've got it. That's it.
Did it.
So what needs to happen now? I need to find out if there's any record for a speedrun on this game.
Yes.
And then I need to time how long it took me to do that.
You don't need to time it. It says there's a little... Oh, no, it did, because that changes depending on if you get hit. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yes. Ben, you might be a double world record
I might
holder.
be two-time world champion. What I'm going to do, I'm going to watch this stream back with a stopwatch. And
yes.
I am going to... Here's what we need to do, because I have...
Because in the case of the previous world record you hold, that may be due to the negligence of other players to bother doing it.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's definitely going to be down to the negligence of other players to ever bother doing it. And I think you've got a very good chance of having this world record. Where would we find out what the world record is?
Well, speedrun.com. I'm looking up for Count Duckula on speedrun.com, and it does not have an entry.
Of course not. You better change that.
There's no entry for speedrun.com, and I think what I'm going to have to do...
Yep. I hope you did, because then... I hope you've just broken the record, because then we can call this the world record breaking series.
Yeah, I think... So here's what I'm going to do. There's no listing on speedrun.com for Count Duckula in No Sax Please We're Egyptian. So I'm going to request it.
Yep.
And then I'm going to set that record.
Yeah. And here it is. Here's the video. You can send them this video.
It's proof.
As proof. Yeah.
Who's going to challenge me? I'll tell you who's going to challenge me. Literally everyone who's on this stream, because you're all going to go to AmigaForever.com and buy a copy of Amiga Forever so you can legally emulate an Amiga. And then you're going to find a copy of Count Duckula in No Sax Please We're Egyptians somewhere on the internet. I couldn't tell you where. That would be really, really illegal of me. And then what you're going to do is you're going to... you're going... You're going...
Ben, let me just drag you away from this failing train of thought. You are being asked what you thought of the Xbox Alien Breed games, if anything.
I thought they were okay. The end. I don't really have any other thoughts. I don't think I finished all 3 of them. I did finish the first one.
Yeah.
All right. So with that in mind, it's now 8:04, I think, or 7:04 in your time right now.
Correct.
Am I right?
That's right.
So
there is now every chance that I will get Dinnerette and the Patreon Hangout started on time, and all thanks to your deft. Your fingers are much defter than you think, Ben.
They are. They. I'll be honest with you. They could be better. I would like them to be better.
Sure, but they're fairly deft. You've now proven twice over that they can be fairly deft. Oh, sorry, am I pronouncing this right? I'm trying to say that you're daft.
Yeah, well, that's how you pronounce it.
Right. Oh, I've been getting it wrong the whole time, and I keep mentioning your thumbs for reasons that are completely unreasonable. Ben, you are daft. You're a silly man.
I appreciate whatever that was.
And we can tell because you have completed Count Duckula on the Amiga. How do you feel? Never mind the record, just completing it at all.
I'm not going to call it an accomplishment, because I don't think there's a single person on the planet who would consider it such, but I do think...
No, I do. As someone who did play this game a lot on the Spectrum and never even figured out what I was supposed to be doing, I'm impressed. Now, we did use a walkthrough, so I'm a bit less impressed.
Okay, so I'm looking at speedrun.com. What we do not accept, at this time, we are not adding the following: short or trivial games, generic puzzle games, visual novels, PvP-related activities, high score-based submissions, and non-video game activities.
Okay, I can only imagine some of the submissions they got that necessitated that last one. But I don't think this counts as a short or trivial game. Yes, you have to do it in 10 minutes, but it's difficult to do that, and normally it would take you much longer than that.
Yes.
I think you can submit this.
I'm going to submit this game. I can't submit a link to the video of this run because we're doing in the middle of it. But I'm gonna send. Once we finished, I'll submit this, and then keep an eye on Twitter. I will tweet about it if it gets approved and slapped up on speedrun.com. If you want to follow me on social media, I'm at Ben Paddon, BenPaddon. I'm pretty great. I'm also on Instagram with the same handle. Dave, where can people find you? This is your channel, so they probably already know, but if they don't...
They know that they can find me here on this channel, but also on Twitter. They can find me as @DemonTomatoDave. I won't go as far as to say that my Twitter is pretty great, even though Ben chose to do so about his. I am also on Twitch as DemonTomatoDave.
Yeah.
And you can find me in places like that. But the place where you can find me the most regularly, other than Twitter, if you want my content, that is the podcast Sonic the Comic, the podcast, which is a fortnightly, which is every 2 weeks, Americans, podcast celebrating and examining the comic Sonic the Comic. Now, that's Sonic the Hedgehog, yes, but Archie/IDW, no. It's about the British comics that came out from 1993 to about 2001, and we go in great depth into what it was like to be alive and a child at that time. So we're, as much as we talk about Sonic, we're also talking about the adverts, the letters page, anything. I mean, we had 2 giant digressions the other day about what it was like to buy little cans of Coke from Woolworths. It's that sort of podcast. It's a time capsule sort of podcast. I also have another one that's called Sonic the Comic, the podcast, and that, just type that in things, you'll find it. The other is called Serious Disness, and it's not serious. It's a very silly podcast about animation and animation adjacent things, in which myself and my co-host Jahan forced ourselves and continue to force ourselves to watch through the execrable Disney live-action remakes that they do insist on persisting to make. So that is serious Disness and Sonic the Comic, the podcast.
Perfect. There is I'll tell you a fun thing. There's a persistent theory on the internet that the only reason those live-action Disney remakes exist is to extend copyright, which is, here's a fun fact, not how copyright works at all. And if
is it not? I've been believing that one because that
not true.
That theory, of course, goes back to the straight to DVD sequels,
yeah,
doesn't it?
It's also not true. It's very not true because here's the thing: if it were just about extending copyright, firstly, we would be looking at remakes just of Snow White, Pinocchio, Sleeping Beauty, etc. And we're not. We're seeing remakes of The Lion King and Aladdin and so on. And secondly, Disney don't need to spend millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars remaking these movies to extend copyright when they're already spending just millions and millions of dollars on lawyers who are already who have already done that. The reason the Disney movies get remade is not a legal thing at all. It is purely because nostalgia makes money. And there is no better evidence of that than the fact that both Aladdin and The Lion King made more at the box office, significantly more at the box office, than the original versions did, despite the fact that they are provably and palpably less enjoyable. Although there are bits of the Aladdin remake I did like.
Do you know, I actually liked almost all of the Aladdin remake, but I make up for it by finding the Beauty and the Beast to be one of the most loathsome films ever made.
Oh, the live-action Beauty and the Beast is abhorrent. I would describe it as a nightmare.
And listeners can look forward to that because I'm about to start editing the podcast we did about that particular one. But coming this weekend, actually, we're doing an episode about Pete's Dragon, both the old and new versions. And we already have a podcast out about The Lion King and Aladdin. So yes, go and listen to these podcasts. I think you'll like them.
Yes.
They're called Serious Disney. That applies to you as well, Ben. I feel like you would get a lot out of Serious Disney.
I want to check it out. And I also know that you have invited me to appear on Sonic the Comic, the podcast, which we've not done yet. But that would probably happen.
We haven't done it. We need to get it done. Yeah.
The other, actually, we're pitching podcasts. I'm going to throw this out there as well.
I was going to prompt you if you didn't.
Yeah, because I have not mentioned the game of Rassilon. It is, if you like RPG actual play podcasts, things like the Adventure Zone and Dungeons and Daddies and things like that, we are playing the Doctor Who role-playing game by Cubicle 7, which was first published back in 2009. Not the old one from the 70s, we're playing the more recent one. We have Riley Silverman, who is a very accomplished writer and comedian who also works, she's a writer on Troubled Waters, the Maximum Fun podcast. She plays the Doctor, our Doctor. We have Dan Peck, who's a writer for Family Guy. He is one of our companions. I craft the campaigns. Me and my friend Michael Nixon, we craft the campaigns, and then I'm the GM. And we've recorded, I think, the first half of our second season, although I think we are not quite there yet. We record way ahead of time with that podcast. We're very fortunate and have a really, really good recording schedule. But it's basically, if you like Doctor Who and you want more of it, but you want to not know what's going to happen because it all depends on dice rolls and things, or you just like RPGs, or you just like me and I'm great. I think I'm pretty great. I don't know. Feel free to check it out. You can find it at thegameofrassilon.com or thedeath.zone or adventuresintimeand.space, or you can just search your favourite podcasting app for The Game of Rassilon, which is how we called, that's what we named the podcast. Makes it very difficult to find it. Yes, if you're not already a fan of Doctor Who, that's a very difficult thing to search for. So I
suppose so, yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Rassilon.
That's the one. Yes. Yeah, we did rename the show, the feed, the Game of Rassilon, a Doctor Who role-playing game podcast. So worst case scenario, you could just search your podcasting app for Doctor Who role-playing game podcast.
Yes.
Or my name.
It still won't be the most amusingly named Doctor Who podcast, which is called On the Time Lash. And I'm very happy with that name.
It's a very, very good name.
I just want to acknowledge, by the way, continue plugging by all means, but I do just want to acknowledge that 51 minutes ago, when I suggested that people leave a new comment on our previous video, because there was one that said, haha, you did a funny joke, but then you started talking about leftist politics, so I'm out. Ashley has left the comment, ha ha, funny joke, but now you've gone too far right with your politics. So
more like
keep
that,
it up,
please.
I guess.
Yes, definitely more comments like that.
Everybody pile on and drive this into the ground.
So we did the first one of these streams a week ago, and then we kind of decided very short notice to do this one now. We're still figuring out how frequently we're going to be doing these.
No idea.
But we will do another one, and when we do, we will tweet about it. We'll Instagram about it. Dave is not on Instagram, I discovered when I was trying to tag you in something.
No, I can't understand it at all. I don't know what it's for. Don't know how to use it. Don't see the point of it. Will one day presumably learn.
Well, actually, it's very simple, Dave. What Instagram is for is sharing photos of what you are having for breakfast or lunch.
You see, that's yes, right.
Yeah,
right, and that's good, is it?
I mean, it's not bad. It's all right, you know. It's not bad. No, it's all right, you know. You know, take a little picture of your eggs Benedict. You know, little picture of your milkshake. Go out, get a milkshake. I have a fun milkshake story. I don't know how much time we have left before you actually have to go.
No, go ahead. If an alarm goes off, it means the fish and chips are cooked. Carry on.
It's 2009, and I'm visiting the UK again with my, at the time, girlfriend. Our plan, I did a comic convention in London because I was still making jump leads at the time. We did the UK web and mini comics thing in London, and then we were traveling up and down the UK. We went to Liverpool, and we did Edinburgh. And we did a few other Bath. Did we do Bath? We did Bath, and a few other places.
Don't ask me.
Oh, well, you were there, surely. You were in the country at the time, you should know. But one of the things that we did was we had lunch with my sister and her, at the time, boyfriend, I think maybe fiance, in Luton, where most of my family lived at the time.
Luton and Luton is not the way. Hear what Captain
yeah, exactly. Yeah, the power is yours. And the power apparently was my girlfriend's to return a chocolate milkshake that she had ordered, because I'd ordered one. I thought, I'll have a chocolate milkshake, forgetting that when you're at a restaurant in the UK, chocolate milkshake is actually not that good. Because they try to make it like, it's ice cream. It's not the same as an American milkshake, which is, I would say, a good. It's good. I like American milkshakes. They're fine. Right. So she did something unheard of. To my family in the UK, she called over the waitress and said, "I'm actually not enjoying this. Could you take this away, please?" And everyone stared at her incredulously, and it's still talked about. It's still talked about a full 11 years later. It is still
in your. I assume you mean in your family, but also obviously in the restaurant circles.
I'm sure the restaurant circles. I think it did come up. I think Jeremy Paxman discussed it at one point.
Yes, no doubt.
You may recall.
Oh, that yes, no, I remember. There was a Newsnight special all about it.
Yeah. So that was
Crime Watch. They did a reconstruction of it on Crime Watch. Yeah.
Yeah, and I also the actress they got to play. Her name was Michelle. The actress they got to play Michelle. Very good likeness. The accent wasn't great. It's one of those where they should have gone with like one of those silent recreations, and they did not do that. I just gotta.
It would be difficult to put across what she said in silent.
Yeah, you have to kind of really. It's really the only way to get across how American Michelle was at the time. She still is, in fact, very American. But that's the milkshake story. Is a girlfriend returning a milkshake in a British restaurant, and everyone staring at her like she just murdered the Pope.
Yeah, and then just locking eyes and continuing to stare for the next 11 years. I can well imagine.
Yeah, because the way we do things as British folk, the way we deal with things is we don't deal with them. We eat or drink the disappointing thing we've just ordered. And we live with it. I've been living in America for 12 and a half years. I'm still starting to get the idea of I don't have to eat this if I don't like it. I can say, actually, I don't like this. Can I exchange it for something else? And they will do it. They'll just do it.
I can't conceive of what you're talking about. So you can buy food.
Yeah.
Start eating it.
Yeah.
And then say, actually, I'd rather have something else. And what, like free of charge? They'll
make you something else.
But that's so gameable.
And yet, ... no one's gaming it, I guess. I don't know. I'll tell you another fun story. Different girlfriend, but this was a restaurant here in the US. We were at the Rainforest Cafe in downtown Disney, which is like a little shopping district area outside Disneyland that you don't have to have a Disneyland ticket to go to downtown Disney. You can just go and shop.
Oh, I didn't realise that. I always assumed it was within Disneyland. Okay.
No, it's just outside. So downtown Disney, they have like a Lego store, and they have a movie theater and a big old Disney store called World of Disney. And they had, not anymore because I think they demolished it to make room for a hotel. They had what is called a Rainforest Cafe, which is a themed restaurant. Now, there's a chain of these all across the US, but it's basically a restaurant where there are also animatronic animals nearby, and the table...
Gimme. That is my jam.
The table we were seated at did have an animatronic gorilla who occasionally would look at us and grunt. And then occasionally you'd get like simulated rain thunderstorms. In the restaurant where they would create the sound and there'd be rustling in the leaves of the plants. Actually, the first time I went there was in 2005. I was 19 and I thought it was amazing. And I still continue to think the concept is amazing. That I've been soured on the Rainforest Cafe just a little bit, but the fact that the last time I went there, which was in 2017, so it was actually slightly over 3 years ago now, I almost choked to death on a bit of steak, and had to be given the Heimlich maneuver by an
animatronic gorilla.
By an animatronic gorilla, yeah. No, it was a 16-year-old girl. Like, a couple of people have tried to give me the Heimlich maneuver, but there's too much of me. I have too much mass, and everyone else in the restaurant at the time was hypothetical. They were waif people. They were spirits.
But the small girl was able to do it.
This 16-year-old girl who had, we were told by her parents, just that week, she'd just been taught how to do the Heimlich at school, and she did it. She saved my life.
Wow.
I wanted to return the favor by paying for her meal, but they had left by the time we were paying up. But they took my meal off of the bill because, well, you nearly died eating it, so I don't think it's fair to make you pay for it.
I can see that logic, but it doesn't sound like it was the food's fault exactly.
No, but the restaurants, I think the restaurant's theory was, well, you nearly choked on our food. That could be considered a liability because we're American and we're constantly thinking about how a person might sue another person. So I think they thought, well, we'll give him a free meal, he'll be fine. And then I was fine. Yeah, we went. I nearly choked to death. I didn't. We went to Disneyland and rode Space Mountain 3 times. It was great.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
That's great. I'm glad you didn't perish on that day.
Yeah, otherwise doing this stream without me would be very difficult.
Imagine if you had. You would never have set the record for finishing Count Duckula on the Amiga.
Yeah, in many ways, that's the thing that kind of kept me going and made me want to survive that. Yeah. Well, on that bombshell.
Yeah.
Let's call it there. This is going to be the weirdest video to send to the people at speedrun.com because they're going to have to. About those people. Yeah, because I've got to send them this video. It's amazing.
Well, yeah.
But thank you. If you've been watching, thank you very much for watching. I'm speaking to you specifically, Dave. If you haven't been watching, then... I
haven't, no.
Yeah. And we will announce on the Twitter and the socials again when we are doing another one of these. But it'll be the same thing. We do a nice general cartoon that most people are familiar with in the first half. And then the second half, we do something specifically British. We might do something that isn't Amiga specific, I think, for the next one.
Yeah. No, we've been using the Amiga to ease people in with its pretty colours and sort of understandable visuals. No, there's going to be some really weird-looking stuff on some weird computers.
Oh, yeah. I'm very excited about introducing people to the ZX Spectrum.
It's always an honour to do that.
Yes, to the BBC Micro.
Yeah,
there were a couple of Doctor Who games for the BBC Micro that are quite terrible.
Oh, well, there we go.
Awful games. Yeah. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching.
Yes.
Let's go away. Let's live our separate lives.
Let's do exactly that. Let's be rid of one another. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Internet.